Immortal.
There's a famous quote from, I think it was Einstein, where he said, I don't know what World War III will be fought with, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. Do you ever worry that, I mean, the reason why, if it made sense that aliens would be here, it's because they want to stop us from blowing ourselves up. Do you ever worry that, like, we're so close to being able to figure out so many things, to be able to change all of your ideas, to be able to change the world fundamentally forever, but we could ruin it?
Yeah, well, I think we're headed toward what we physicists call a type 1 civilization, a civilization which has the power to self-annihilate for the first time, but also the possibility of becoming a planetary civilization, a civilization of the entire planet. That's called a type 1 civilization. They control the weather. They control volcanoes and earthquakes. They harness the power of the entire Earth. Then there's type 2. They harness the power of the sun. And, for example, Star Trek would be a typical type 2 civilization. They've colonized a fraction of the Milky Way galaxy. Then there's type 3. Type 3 would be galactic, that they roam the galactic space lanes. They use black holes as their power supply. They use wormholes to go zipping around the Milky Way galaxy. And the empire of Star Wars would be a typical type 3 civilization. But what are we? On this scale, we are type 0.
Yeah.
We get our energy from dead plants. We settle our differences with weapons. And, we're type 0, but you can see that we're headed toward type 1. The language of type 1 will be probably English. The dominant languages on the internet are English and Mandarin Chinese. And we're seeing the beginning of a type 1 sports, the Olympics and soccer. We're seeing the beginning of a type 1 fashion with Gucci and Chanel. The beginning of a type 1 music with rock and roll and rap and different trends. We're seeing the beginning of a type 1 civilization emerging right before our eyes. But with that is the power to self-destroy ourselves. Because we have the ability to use nuclear weapons, create designer germs, and mess up the weather. And so it's a race against time to see which trend will dominate. The trend toward becoming a planetary civilization versus the trend towards self-destruction.
It's fascinating that you think of culture as being a major part of a type 1 civilization. Things like rap music, things like fashion. Because of the sharing of these ideas globally and the adopting of these ideas and these art forms globally?
Yeah, you see, a planetary civilization like type 1 has a local culture. Different nations still have their own cultural language, cultural habits, and whatever. But globally, they settle differences on a global scale. So they coexist with, on one hand, local culture, local languages, local dialects, local jokes and customs, simultaneously existing with a planetary civilization that is emerging. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the emergence of a planetary civilization, or what we physicists call type 1. Which is happening right before our eyes. Mathematically, if you get a sheet of paper and calculate when that'll happen, it'll be around 2100. So we're seeing the groundwork being laid today. Every time you turn on the TV, you see remnants of, you see international sports, the international culture on TV. So we're seeing the beginning of a type 1 civilization.
Yeah, it's interesting. The soccer has become much more popular lately.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
right? And music, culture, fashion, science, everything is becoming planetary. That's our destiny, to become type 1.
And the internet is the bridge for that, clearly.
That's right. In fact, the internet is the first type 1 invention. So we're privileged to be alive to see the beginning of the first type 1 invention, which is the internet.
Yeah, I love watching cultures get adopted and different types of art and different types of content being, accepted all over the world. It's really fascinating. Even interesting things like, do you ever watch breakdancers?
Sometimes.
Breakdancing is fascinating to me because it's really like a complex form of athletics. Like, these people are insane acrobats. And now it's a thing that's worldwide, but it has the hip-hop culture attached to it, like the way they dress, the music they listen to, but they're doing this. It's really like an unheralded, spectacular art form, and they're doing it all over the world.
Right, and it used to be confined to a small group of people, maybe in a few villages.
Yeah.
Now with the internet, it goes global with the push of a button.
Have you seen any of it?
I've seen some of it on TV.
Have you seen
yeah.
Let me show you something. Go to Stance Elements on Instagram just to show him some of this.
B-Boy Pocket Kim.
Oh, B-Boy Pocket Kim is this gentleman from Korea who's one of the craziest. Like, look what he's able to do. I mean, the physicality involved in the movement. He just took his shirt off in the middle of doing that. Now he's standing on the top of his head, spinning around in a circle. I mean, his control of his body is insane. I mean, it really is like an incredible form of athletics that's done to music. Like, what music is he playing? Give me some of that music. I mean, it's amazing what these people are able to do.
Yeah?
I mean, this is like super high level acrobatics and gymnastics, but it's all done to hip hop music.
Right.
And they're doing it all over the world.
And it's planetary, right?
Yes,
See,
it's
that's
planetary.
the beginning of a type 1 way of doing things that we think locally, but immediately it has the potential of going global.
Well, it's just, now here's the question. One of the things, does AI help that? Does it help that you could recreate those things and come up with fake versions of that? Do you think there's a lot of worry about plagiarism when it comes to AI, but there's also like some fascinating, amazing things have been created from it. Did you see the mashup of Biggie and Nas?
I just saw that come out today.
It's
Yeah.
incredible. Are you a hip hop fan?
Well, my attitude is, I paraphrase Deng Xiaoping of China, who once said, sometimes you have to open the window to let the air in, but a few flies come in too.
I don't even know if this is a fly. Like, I think there's going to be some negative aspects to it, but this is weird because this is not. Notorious B.I.G. is one of my favorite rappers, and Nas is one of my other favorite rappers. And they took Notorious B.I.G.'s voice and they recreated the lyrics of Nas, and he sang things he didn't sing in a perfect way. This is a Nas song, but it's Notorious B.I.G. through AI singing it. This is your kind of shit, right? You like this? This is what you hop to when you're at home?
Yeah? Well, my attitude is get used to it.
Oh, yeah. You definitely
Given
have to
the
get
fact
used to it.
that it's legal, and given the fact that ingenious kids are going to play with existing forms of music and splice them together, and you can't make it go away. It's a
Well, there
free
was
country.
a band that had some. Was it Drake had something pulled?